Shalom Aleichem. Yitzchak or Isaac?
Joseph Ackerman.
Joseph. You know, I always say, when I call the phone, I'm saying, hi, how are you? What's your name? My name is Stephen Goldstein. You know it's a chussid, right? Because for some reason, Litvaks, they could be off the derech, they'll say Shloimi, right? But see them, we say Isaac, Joseph. It's very interesting.
So people always say, I know your name, you're Yitzchak. I say, no, actually, my Jewish name is, my Hebrew name is Yitzchak Isaac, so I call myself Isaac.
Is that true?
Yeah.
That was the best comeback I've ever heard. Yitzchak Isaac, you win.
People say, come on, you know your name.
I like that guy.
I have sometimes, I say my name is Joseph. What is Joseph? It's Yossi.
Right?
Okay, so give me Joseph. So from now on, when I call you, your name is Yossi.
So you're saying it's a tactic.
Yeah.
They already remember your name because you did the switch. This whole interview was worth it already. I love this.
Right? People know it's...
That's a good hack. You changed the Yossi. My name is Alexander from now on. All right, so you guys' company is called Fingercheck. So we just talk about, I remember, I think it was around 8-9 years ago. You came to, I run a place called Yad Aachen, and you came to talk about, nothing to do with accounting at the time, if I'm right. I could be wrong. I think you literally were doing time checks. People were doing the stamps with the cards, and Fingercheck was an innovative thing where instead of clocking with the card, you're going to do this. Tell me, what's the background of the company? Who started the company? Was it you?
So I was actually at the beginning when we started the company. Back in the day, we used to offer just a very Windows-based software. Like instead of replacing the cards, instead it was it was fingerprinting with the software, with the local software, and we were selling it to through local.
You're basically a reseller for someone who had
Amazon, or local computer stores. It was basically a shelf product. We imported that from out of the country and resell it as a one-time purchase product, a shelf product, and that was basically it. So later on, we launched the online system that works with.
Who's the owner of the company?
His name is Joel Cohn. He worked his payroll. His background is payroll. He worked for his father's company, BDP Payroll. Many people in the community knows that company, very famous. He started first just with time clock itself, anything related to keeping track of employees' hours, overtime, personal time off calculation, the accrual policies, things of that nature. And then we
launched a mobile app.
And then we launched the mobile app for construction industry.
So at one point you switched from simply timestamps to also payroll, right? What was that?
That was later on. As technology moves fast forward, people like to have everything in one single platform. To make things much simpler. It's in these days it's like it's like a no-brainer to keep separate time clock and payroll. You got to have everything consolidated in one system.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Yossi, Joseph, what's your role in the company?
I'm doing sales for the past 6.5 years in the company.
Wow. So you helped start Fingercheck, am I right?
No. I started same thing as Joseph, sales, just selling the product, and I was from the get-go. But
so how many people are working in the company today?
Right now we're over 100 employees.
Over 100 employees. So you're saying you were started by a guy who worked for his father with BDP. What's his name?
Joel Cohn.
Joey Cohn. And I'm assuming his name is Yossi also, right? Or it's Yosef. And the payroll that's working now with Fingercheck, it's going through B2B or it's a separate entity?
Right now, it's a complete separate product. Right now,
we're all our own.
Yeah, I'll let Joseph answer.
So Fingercheck basically is today our all-in-one HR platform. Anything related to HR, so it doesn't mean only payroll. Payroll is one part of the.
HR is a whole other world.
So payroll is one part. You have hiring, doing background checks, onboarding, instead of doing paper W4 I-9s, or if you have an employee handbook, everything is digitalized. That's called the onboarding, where you hire an employee. Then you have the time and attendance.
It's funny you say that because I have that specific issue. It's funny when you have a new employee, so the boss does the interview, and the accountant pays for the payment, right? He pays, they take the accounts receivable. But that in between usually gets lost in the translation. You can have 100 workers that never did an I-9, they never did W-2, and then you know what's going on. So basically, as a company, you're trying to handle this whole idea. Call you up, and you'll call the employee, you'll take care of everything?
You don't call, everything's by email. It's all
but you'll make sure that the employee gets it done?
The employee gets a link by email. Okay, they have to fill out their document, which is mandatory by state and by federal. If they don't do it, it's called the onboarding process. By default, they won't get paid. That puts pressure on the employee to complete filling out their onboarding process.
I love the idea. Let me ask you a question about Fingercheck. So you kept the name Fingercheck because literally you used to be able to scan a finger, right? That was the idea.
The idea was because it's from clocking in to cash out the check.
Right.
So it's basically.
I'm just curious. Do you guys have I know when you go to Mikva today, you put your finger and you scan. Is that anything to do with you? No, Shaq?
No, not at all.
But I'm assuming the average machine still has the finger identification. That's a big proponent of your business. It's interesting because I'm assuming a lot of other companies can offer the same idea, but it's kind of your shtick, right? That people know they scan with the finger. Am I correct?
There's a lot of companies out there. You can go also on Amazon and buy a fingerprint clock for $39. You don't have support, you don't have whom to talk to, and it's not cloud-based. Our system, it's a fingerprint, or it's a facial, or it's a tablet, or it's a mobile app, or it's on a computer. When employees clock in, it uploads to the portal in real time. You as a manager or a supervisor, you can get push notifications if an employee did not clock in or clock out, or if you want to review who clocked in this morning or who didn't clock out for a lunch break.
Right.
So everything can be set up in the system.
So I have an interesting question for you. You guys do payroll essentially. To a lack of a better term, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you do bigger picture, but I would say your market today is you're trying to sell payroll to a degree. So you come to an event like this, the odds are most companies here have payroll, right? So I'm just tell you up front, a lot of people have issues with their payroll company. And it's like I know the garbage I'm dealing with. Yeah, I know that you're right. You could be better, but whatever. I know where I'm dealing with it. How are you able to convince someone? No, come switch to me. It's a hard sell. How do you do that? Because it's a good question, right?
Go.
So I always say first listening to the clients and the prospects' pain points. Where they're lacking, and then I find my 50-second sell pitch. How I can.
What is that? Tell me what that is.
So it all depends. There's different industries, different markets. I usually sometimes it's related to better time clocking. Sometimes it's better payroll. Sometimes it's automation.
But if someone has a comment,
onboarding system, I always say, Fingercheck is here. We help manage your business so you can run better your company. So.
You hear my question, right? My question: when something is shalom alei nafshi, a company is flowing, they're working well, they have 20 employees, everything is going, people are getting paid. There's not so many problems. And we have problems. I can tell you why people want to go elsewhere. But how would you convince them to start company?
So let me go. For example, here today's a construction show. Okay, one of our strongest features in the software is job costing. You want to allocate your labor cost by job. Now, when employees clock in and clock out, you can have jobs set up in the system. You want to have that jobs into QuickBooks. Okay? So a lot of companies don't provide that. A lot of companies don't provide general ledgers into QuickBooks. And if they do provide, they can go in detail what we offer. We definitely have much more to offer than competitors out there. Everyone is great, everyone does phenomenal. But again, we're not only payroll, it's technology.
No, I understand. I'll give you a very personal example since you asked me, right? So we have a payroll company, and sometimes I call them up and say, listen, I don't want you to mail the checks to my office because it can take a whole lot away from my office. I'm telling the guys who want checks. Yeah, I want to call you. I want you to mail the check out. No, we don't do that. I say, you're crazy. So it's 2020. You can't mail a check for me. So if I called up your company, I said, listen, this employee, I want you to mail out a check. Would you do it?
No. So I will convince him that there's no need for it to mail out. It's very old school. I mean, you can these days.
No, a one-time thing. You don't want to start getting the person. You're going to give a direct deposit for one person.
Let me give you an example. So from when the company came out to process payroll, the number one policy was there's no such a thing of delivering checks. You have direct deposit free of charge. You have debit cards, or you can print out the checks in the office. Now, for example...
So I'm going to stop you. I'm going to take from a client basis, right? Then you're making me do something. You're making me, I have to print it out, I have to go and I have to mail it. I'm not interested. I want you to take care of it.
If direct deposit is included, our price structure includes direct deposit and doesn't cost you anything extra.
For sure.
Why wouldn't you go with that?
No.
It makes everyone's life
You're right,
easier.
but some people want checks, whatever.
In reference to checks, let's say it's Yom Tov, it's Erev Yom Tov, deliver here, deliver there, it didn't show up, it did show up, it's a snowstorm, UPS is delayed, it's not coming. It becomes a whole issue and a whole situation. And now, and also, a lot of customers we have here, happy customers here at the show today, they started out with us, they still had checks. Every Friday, it was a whole situation, running to the Bronx, running to Westchester, to New Jersey, delivering checks. It's direct deposit, it's debit cards, that's all, and they're all happy.
That's amazing. Debit's a good idea.
You want to show them your debit card?
Let me ask you, what's a debit card?
I have a card, but
just you can see the.
So you give you the debit card, they can use it themselves.
Right.
Can you do that as a one-off? Is that an option in your company?
What?
If I have a new employee, he's only here for 2 weeks. I'm not interested in the whole onboarding process, but I want you guys to mail him a card with his payroll. You can do that?
So this card is being assigned to the employee.
That's
the
amazing. You can do it as a one-time thing. That's a fantastic thing.
Right.
To me, that's a game changer. If you can actually tell somebody here for 2 weeks, I'll give you a card when you're done, it's amazing. People would love that. That's huge.
And the other thing is also a lot of employees who do receive checks, let's say if they cash the check, they pay like 2%, 3%, whatever it costs by check cashing. This debit card, you can take out money from any in-network ATM machine.
That's a cool idea.
Or you can use it as a regular debit card.
Let me ask you a question.
Anything.
You come to an event like this, you're here for a few years, I'm assuming the company. Have you actually been able to get clients from the OGBA show?
Oh, from this show?
Yeah.
From day one, since we started exhibiting, every year we picked up clients from the show.
So what has been your sales pitch? Let me hear. A guy comes to you like, I'm assuming they're coming because they have issues, right? The odds are no, it's coming because they're happy. So how have you been able to actually follow up and seal the deal here? I'm very curious. At the OGBA.
A lot of deals are happening is because a happy customer stands next to that prospect. You have to take them. Tell you, make the switch, you'll be happy.
So let me get you guys are experienced salesmen. You deal with a lot of companies. What advice would you give for companies who are currently managed, besides for switching to you guys? What advice would you give them? What is a mistake that companies make in regards to balance of their payroll and HR, whatever it is, that they really have to fix based on your experience? You've seen the biggest problem. Well, let's start with you.
Number one is documentation. It's the onboarding, it's the W4, I-9, and proper IDs. If it's a passport, if it's a social, that's very crucial.
See, companies do not have proper processes in board.
They might have it. They have it in a file cabinet. They have it in a paper. It's lost.
So it has to be Masuda organized.
Exactly. So in order to be Masuda, you do the onboarding process. It's all in the cloud. So it doesn't have to be in a Google Drive. It doesn't have to be in a file cabinet. You have everything there. Another big thing which became very popular the past, I would say, 18 months, employee handbook. A lot of companies don't have employee handbook. Employees don't know what the rules and policies are in the company. What about PTO? I'm not talking which is by law what you have to give. Is there paid vacation? Is there paid holidays? All that details, lunch breaks. Is it paid? Is it not paid?
I once heard that from the Tzemach Tzedek, the Middle Lubavitch Rebbe. He said, what's our mistake? We make contracts like whatever, we know each other, and then we fight. He said, better to make a contract like we're fighting. And then act like Yidden. Make sure the contract is Masuda, tough, with everything it has detail, then you can act like Jews with one another. Oh, he's saying the big problem is people don't have the rules in place.
Tikkun Yeshiva, this is how this company operates. And this, for example, what I have a lot of times companies call me up. This happened, can I fire him? Should I fire him? Every first thing, I'm not a labor lawyer. I can't tell you. The proper way is if you have an employee handbook and you have there that
you could identify they're not following the rules.
If it's happening, an incident, and you document, it's called the incident report. You have the document and signed by the employee and the employer, and it states, let's say, in the employee handbook, after 3 incidents, an employee fired, basically you have the upper hand on the employee.
I love that. You have anything you want to add to that? Difficult people have?
Sorry, you can repeat the question.
No. Yeah. I was saying the question is that based on you work with a lot of different companies. What is an issue or something you think the company should be fixing right now, besides for hiring you? That they have a problem that he said of an onboarding process. What do you think is an issue that companies have that really should be fixing? That you notice other companies have?
So recently there was in Boropark there was the DINA they made an event because there was a lot of lawsuits going around for overtime and compliance. So it's very important. So at that show, at that convention, we were coming out very strong that making sure that every company should be compliant. So if you follow the Fingercheck system, the onboarding.
Your rules basically be proactive, right? Don't wait till a problem comes.
Exactly.
Be proactive.
So making sure if you go through our onboarding system, you know that you're fully compliant. The employees are filling out all the proper documents, which is the W4, the I-9, the LS-54. They know in different languages how much you're getting paid. Providing identification. So if you just follow the steps using the platform properly, then you know that you're fully compliant with all the rules and regulations.
Final question, because you guys look like Geschmack Chevra. How do you deal with stress?
Me with stress?
Let's start with you. Yeah, you don't look like a guy who deals with stress.
He gets a phone call.
Yeah? How do you deal with stress? You look like nice chiller.
I stress out? The easiest way for me, music. I'm tone 100. And just a scream and yell with it together, and that's about it.
I like that. You go to the car, shut the door, scream out loud.
That's all.
Very good. And yourself? Don't say you do the same thing because you'd be lying, yeah?
Not at all. Nice. I mean, I just deal with it. I mean, sometimes I take a shot, I just take it easy, I take a deep breath, and I move on. I try to make another sales call and pat my back and try to win another prospect.
I love it. I love it.
Forget about the past.
You guys are great. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.